Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about some dating app tips that all of you guys should know. I know that dating apps have become super popular, and even more so with quarantine being a thing. When everyone was cooped up in their house, that was really the only way to get to know someone. So I know that they have had a rise in popularity, and I think they will continue to do so. I actually met my boyfriend on Tinder. I used to be really embarrassed to admit that, but now it is so common. In fact, most of my friends have actually met their boyfriends on Tinder or Hinge or other social media apps, and even people are getting married that met on Tinder. So I think that dating apps are a great way to get to know someone if you do it the right way. So with that being said, I don't always agree with the very judgmental outlook that dating apps can have. You know, before you actually meet someone, you're making a first impression, and a lot of times it can seem really superficial, you know, based on their looks or what their bio says. But these are just some ways to succeed on a dating app while still being the most authentic version of you. I think a lot of times people pretend to be someone they're not and really struggle with, you know, getting the matches they want while still remaining true to themselves. So these tips are just going to help you enhance your social media. I'm not going to tell you to be someone that you're not, because I don't think that's sustainable in the long run or good for you or your mental health or the person that you might be dating. So I'm going to give you some tips to just enhance your social media and make it the best that it can be. So with that being said, number one is going to be your photos. This is going to be the first thing someone sees when they come up on your profile. So you're going to want to make a good first impression. It's the same as when you show up to a date and you want to look like the best version of yourself. You're kind of going to want to keep that same mentality with your dating app as well. So your photos should represent you. Like I said in the beginning, you don't want your photos to make you seem like you're one thing when really you're something else. So they should really reflect who you are as an individual. You don't need to follow the crowd and act like everyone else, but just show the best version of yourself. In the long run, that's going to attract the type of person that you're going to want to be with anyway. So you're going to want to post more recent photos of yourself. You don't want her to think that you look completely different than your photos. You're going to want to give a pretty accurate representation of what you look like in real life so that the other person is not disappointed when they meet you. Also, it's the same thing as when a girl shows up to her date and maybe she has edited the crap out of her photo and you are sitting across the table from her thinking, oh my gosh, this girl looks nothing like her photos. You don't want her to think that about you too if you're posting really old photos. If anything, you'll want them to think, wow, they look even better in person than they did on their profile. So another thing I want to touch on with photos is posting pictures with your friends. So I think this is okay to post maybe 1 or 2 photos with friends just to show that you have a social life and you have friends. I think is really attractive, but it's not attractive when every single photo you post is with your friends and the girl doesn't even know which one is you or who the heck you are because all your photos are with other people. So as much as it's okay to post 1 or 2 photos with a group of people or your friends, try to stick to photos of just yourself as well, because after all, this is your dating profile and it should have pictures of you. So try to avoid taking selfies. I know that sounds so silly because girls post selfies all the time. I think a lot of girls think that when guys take selfies, it's a little bit odd. So take a photo with a self timer or have your friend take your photo. They don't need to be professional photos that have been edited to a T. You don't need to look like you had a professional photographer take your photos, but just have someone else take the photo for you, or the beauty of an iPhone is just to use a self timer. So the last thing I want to touch on for pictures is shirtless photos. Whatever you do, do not make your main profile photo a shirtless photo. I don't care how hot you are. I don't care how attractive you are. If you are a model, if you are a bodybuilder, it just comes off as very narcissistic, and I think this is a big turnoff for a lot of girls. I'm not saying this because I personally think it. I'm saying this because I have heard so many women say this about a guy. Like I said, it just comes off very narcissistic and like you're full of yourself. And look, I'm totally for working out, body positivity, showing that off if it's something that you've worked really hard for, but just set that as a different picture and not your profile picture. I think it's totally okay to post a shirtless pic as long as it's not your main photo. With that being said, if it's a shirtless mirror pic, maybe not. If you're on the beach, sure. If you're working out or you're a bodybuilder or a model and had someone professionally take your photo or just a friend take your photo, sure, that's absolutely fine too. Totally okay to have a shirtless pic as one of your later photos in the role, but try to avoid it as your main photo. Okay, my next point is your bio. So this is almost just as important as your pictures. I know that I have swiped left on a lot of people because of something that they wrote in their bio that I was just not vibing with. So it's okay to tell a little bit about yourself, but try to not write a novel. Keep it short and sweet. So make sure you mention some of your interests in your bio, but don't write a novel. You want to leave a little room for imagination here, for her to ask you questions. You don't want her to feel like she already knows everything about you after reading your bio. A little humor always goes a long way as well. Just speaking from personal experience, I maybe wasn't as attracted to this person as I was with other guys, but their bio was really funny and made me laugh and showed that they had a great personality, so I swiped right. So like I said, a bio can go a long way, and so can a little bit of humor, but if you're not funny, don't force it. Like I said, you don't need to pretend to be something that you're not. Make sure your bio represents who you are, just like your photos will. Number 3 is gonna be the first message you send to her. So do not say, hi, hey, hello. I cannot tell you how many guys message me, hi, hey, hello, what's up, something super dry and short, and they don't stand out when compared to everyone else's messages. Even if you send something a little bit silly or lighthearted, it is so much better than just sending something very dry. You're not gonna get a response, or you're not as likely to get a response, because you have to think about all the other messages that this girl is getting and how you're going to compare to those. I hate the comparison game, but with dating apps, that's just kind of the way it is. And you really have to keep in mind all the other messages that she's getting as well. And why would she reply to yours if it just says, hey, when someone else sends something funny or asks her a question or something just more inviting than a hey would be. So you're gonna wanna do something to stand out from the other million guys that are messaging her. Don't be crazy or inappropriate. I think that really just sends the wrong message. Even if you are just looking for like a hookup or something like that, you don't want to act like that right off the bat. Just like your bio and your pictures, the first message that you send to her can be a huge representation of who you are, your character, things like that. So keep that in mind as well. So if you need some ideas, maybe ask her a question, look at her bio and see if it says something that maybe you're interested in, if you guys have similar interests. But if not, even just use that as a way to ask her a question. If she doesn't have a bio, maybe use her pictures for inspiration. If she posted a photo in Paris, maybe ask her what her favorite thing in Paris was, or when she went to Paris. Maybe you went to Paris and you can say something to kind of bounce off that, but just use what she's giving you as context clues and inspiration for the messages that you send to her. So my next point is the most important, and that is getting her off the app and getting her number. So when you're inside the app and you're messaging her, you are just a fish in a sea of a million other messages. So if you can get her number and get off the app, then you're really going to stand out, and she's going to be more likely to talk to you more often. So you don't want to be just another guy in her messages. You're going to want to get her off the app and get to know her a little bit better outside of just the messages on the app. Chances are she'll probably be checking her texts more than she would her messages on a dating app, or at least I know that's how I was when I was on dating apps. I hardly ever got on them, so I would miss tons of messages from guys. So get her off the app as soon as possible. You could just say something like, hey, I don't check my messages much on here, could I text you instead? And if she's into you, chances are she will give you her number, and then you can text her and carry on your conversation there instead. This is a really big point that I also want to touch on. If she says no or doesn't respond, do not harass her, do not give her a hard time, do not make her feel bad. And whatever you do, do not act butthurt that she did not give you her number. This is a huge turnoff, and is just going to solidify her decision to not give you her number. And chances are she's going to be really happy she didn't give it to you, because acting like that says a lot about your character. So even if you are a little bit upset, don't act like it. There are plenty of other girls on the app that you can message. So just take it as a loss and let it go. All right, guys, that concludes my list of dating app tips for men. Like I said, I know that dating apps can be a little bit superficial. I don't necessarily love that about them, but I think as social media becomes more and more prevalent in our lives, I think that dating apps are going to continue to rise in popularity as well. So just knowing these little tips and tricks can really help you in the long run. If you guys think I missed anything, be sure to leave it in the comments below and let me know what you thought about my points that I made. Like I said, I do speak from experience. I have swiped left on people for many reasons and right for many reasons as well, and I pretty much covered all of that in this video. And I know dating apps can be really disheartening and tricky sometimes. If you feel like you're not good at it, this is a great place to start, and I think it will really help you be more successful. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for when I release new content. Also, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Courtney Christine Ryan. I've been loving connecting with all of you guys on there as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.